Dancehall mission, and we also have the beautiful Carolyn Cooper with us. I'm shortly going to introduce the panel, and then I'm going to introduce our guest. To the very left, we have David Katz, the author of the biography of Lee Perry and Foundation of Reggae Music, and we have Pierre Tosi, a famous radio broadcaster from Italy. And next to me is Pete Lilly from Rhythm Magazine. He's the chief editor, together with me. Ellen Koelings, also from Rhythm Magazine. And yeah, first I want to introduce Carolyn Cooper, who has become a dear friend of ours for many, many years. And first and foremost, I want to say, without Carolyn Cooper, the Jamaican society at large would not be aware of the cultural as well as global importance of reggae and dancehall. She has always fought for the recognition of reggae and dancehall as a significant cultural expression. Carolyn Cooper is a Jamaican author, a well-known media personality and literary scholar. Until recently, she was professor of literature at the University of the West Indies in Kingston. Carolyn established the Reggae Studies unit at UWI. She founded the Bob Marley Lectures, hosted numerous public lectures and symposiums featuring reggae dancehall artists as well as important players of the industry. Among them were well-known names like Lady Saw, Vibes Cartel, Bounty Killer, Ninja Man, Tanya Stevens, etc. In 2008, she organized the outstanding first global reggae conference at UWI. The plenary papers were collected in her book Global Reggae in 2012, which won several awards. She co-edited the book Bob Marley, the Man and His Music, a selection of papers presented at the 1995 symposium that marked the Reggae Icons 50s Earth Strong. She is also author of Noises in the Blood, Orality, Gender, and the Vulgar, quote-unquote, vulgar body of Jamaican popular culture and Sound Clash Jamaican dancehall culture at large. Carolyn is also a weekly columnist for the Sunday Gleaner. On August 6, 1930, on Jamaican's 51st Independence Day, Carolyn Cooper was awarded the National Honor of the Order of Distinction for outstanding contribution to education. In the last couple of years, she organized a successful and really awesome series, Reggae Talk, which emerged from her reggae poetry seminars. One of her guests in 2016, and Peter and me were happy to be there, was Assassin, aka Agent Sasco. And last but not least, her work tremendously inspired the Reggae University at Rototom Sunsplash, as well as our work at Rhythm Magazine. Thank you so much for all you did, Carolyn. And next to me, of course, he doesn't really need an introduction, is Jeffrey Campbell, aka Assassin, aka Agent Sasco. He has been active in the fast-moving dancehall business for 15 years now. He is one of the best lyricists, performers, and most reliable Jamaican artists. Last year, he released his album, Theory of Reggaetivity, which has, as the title suggests, more of a reggae than a dancehall vibe. While other dancehall artists tend to do everything to get a hype, Sasco proves that you can reach far with talent, passion, quality, hard work, strong lyrical content, and independent structures. Welcome, Assassin, aka Agent Sasco. And as I mentioned earlier, the session is called Content Over Hype, and I would like to put my first question to Carolyn. And I want to say, first of all, it's not about bashing dancehall, not at all. We just want to take a closer look at the marketing mechanisms of the genre and see if they maybe hinder the music from growing. Carolyn, how would you define hype in a Jamaican dancehall context?
It's very difficult to define hype, but I think a good way of thinking of hype is the stuff you do to get noticed. I think in dancehall, getting attention is a very important issue. So that hype is about marketing yourself to make yourself visible. And sometimes, as we say in this forum topic, sometimes hype takes over content and there's no substance, but you try to market an image and then there's no substance to back the image. So that to me is hype. What you do to make yourself noticed, to become visible, but if you're not careful, there isn't that substance to back it, or what we say in Jamaican Creole, have no backative. So it's just form and no substance. I don't know if the others would agree with me.
Yeah, of course.
I think I would I would go to broaden the definition a bit to include that it's sometimes it's not necessarily only actions carried out by the artist or their camp, but sometimes it's just the level of sensationalism surrounding an artist, and it doesn't necessarily have to originate with their own actions. So you just have somebody with that certain level of hype around them.
So you're saying that hype really is part of the image of the artist?
No, I'm saying sometimes it's not only based on actions of the artist, but for whatever the reason, there might be a level of coverage surrounding a particular artist, media coverage, and it sometimes become kind of like a turbo effect. One thing feeds the next, and it becomes this self-sustaining hype almost.
Yeah,
but
that's a very good pause. Sometimes the artist may not necessarily be the one who is pushing it, may not be creating it, but the artist don't mind the hype still,
No, of course. But I just think it needs to be established that we can broaden the definition.
I think we're getting a lot of feedback off of the mic.
Yeah, this one especially, I don't know.
The mic.
And just tell us if you do not hear enough, if it's not loud enough, just let us know, because from here you sometimes cannot, know if you're all aware and everybody hears everything, Yeah, you mentioned something, Jeffrey, that it's not necessarily the artist.
No,
Because
not
the next
very good point.
Not all the times.
Yes.
And the next question would be like, how, to Carolyn or to you as well, how does this hype machinery work? Because sometimes it's really like a machinery who is kind of pushing it.
So first of all, I think it's functional. There is some level of hype, if you want to call it, or some might go for a little bit a euphemism and say it's PR and marketing, and certainly that is functional. I think, like anything else, when it becomes one-dimensional and when it becomes, as Granny said, too much and not no good, then it becomes dysfunctional, and you get to a situation where hype is all you're trying to sustain it rather than using the hype to sell a good product. But if you get into just selling alone, then you start to sell nothing and it's just hype. So I think it's functional and just another tool that you can use. It's just a matter of striking a balance and not only leaving that to the artist or their management either, but I think there are certain platforms that need to recognize substance at all times rather than just go with the hype. And therefore, if you're just going with the hype alone, then you say to other young artists that I've seen this trend, as a matter of fact, you say to people who are aspiring that if we only care about hype, then that's all you need to care about. So I think, there are certain avenues like airplay, or, radio people, sound man, media personnel, people conducting interviews. If you're only giving coverage or giving airtime or giving attention to the hype seekers, then people with substance start to feel like, well, maybe I just need to focus on that. So some balance needs to be struck.
And social media is such a big platform for hype. We have to think about how that is managed too. And I think it's also important to recognize that there are people with content who don't know how to manage their hype, so then they don't get what they should get because they're not marketing themselves properly. So there's the hype. Hype is important in a way to push your image, to make yourself visible and so on. But if you don't have the content, then that is when there's a problem, because when people start to listen to what you're saying and they say, well, after all of that hype, you know, I say nothing. So what's the point?
The marketing of an artist or creating attention for an artist is kind of a common thing within all genres of pop music all over the world, really. But with dancehall, it seems to be a bit more extreme, at least in the last, can't even put a date on it, but in the last years. And do you have an explanation when and why it became so dominant within dancehall culture?
So from my observation, it has always been there. You know, like people like Tiger. You know, I grew up in Kintyre, Papine. Tiger come from down the road, and Tiger would ride through the square with him big bike and, you know, the 10 rings and the gold chain. You know, it's so much a part of the whole thing. It's, you know, it's celebrated as a part of the culture. But I think, you know, but Tiger had a lot going on music-wise. You know, and you know, he could deliver an excellent, energetic performance, and so you know, once again, there was a balance there, and no problem. But like I say, in my observation over the last, let's say, 5-6 years, I think, and I don't find that it's with dancehall necessarily, but there's this culture of be popular for being popular, as opposed to being popular for something else. You know, so as Carolyn mentioned, it's, you know, it's a part of the new social media culture where, you know, it's this likes, you know, all about likes and all about, you know, followers. And so, you know, you have people who are famous for being famous as opposed to being famous for doing something really well. So, you know, and then, so you have artists now starting to recognize that, and management, and, you know, they recognize that whenever they pull certain stunts, then the media is going to bite on it, and they're going to, you know, get a certain level of coverage, and so why not? You know, and going back to my point before, I think the gatekeepers have to be the people who have certain avenues to say, I have my program, let's say I have a talk show. I'm not going to give airtime to somebody who I don't know sing a song, but because them, you know, tattoo them, I don't know, or them cut off one of them ears, or them put a, you know, I'm not going to give you any airtime unless you have some kind of established credit to your name. You know, when Cartel got all the coverage with the bleaching thing and whatever, a lot of people copied that model, but, you know, to his credit, Cartel was already 10 years in with legitimate credentials, you know, talented lyricist, and, you know, all of these things. He didn't just come out of obscurity, bleaching or tattooing and using that as his avenue. So, you know, like I said, I think it has to be managed in a way where a certain level of artistic respect need to be there, and you're not getting my airtime for just hype. That's how, you know, that's one way.
One of the things that strikes me too is that you could relate hype to bling, that in a way the whole of dancehall is about bling. And the physical dress is a manifestation of a whole psychology of hype.
Yeah, but once again, I appreciate that. I love that about dancehall. So I want us to be very clear that hype is very much woven into the whole culture, and it's also very functional. It is a part of it. The problem is when, you know, as the topic says, when the balance now begins to be skewed, and it's all about the hype and no substance. You know, the hype is very much a part of the whole thing, you know.
I believe in bling now, you know. I am not knocking bling, because I think that the bling of dancehall is coming straight from West Africa. Of course. There's an aesthetic of excess that we see in black culture, where black people just love to dress up, you know? And I think this is what we're seeing in dancehall. You know, I've been gone to conferences, and white people will come up to me and say, I love your costume. And I get so mad, you know, because I'm not wearing no costume, I'm wearing my dress. But because my dress looks quite different from what they would wear, it's a theatrical, you know, discourse in which they want to locate me. And I said, no, this is not a costume, this is a dress.
Yeah. Get it straight. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, but you, if I understand, you're both basically saying that there's a symbiotic relationship between content and hype, that in a way you you can't have the one without the other, or in the
No,
dancehall
we're not
industry?
saying that.
You can, you know.
You can. What
just
we're
that-
saying is if you have the hype and no content, you're in trouble. But if you have content, you must hype it to the max.
So, again about this balance, hype and content. A question to both of you as dancehall lovers, dancehall as music. The greatest example, the greatest balance of hype and content that is going to your mind now, as a song or an artist. The greatest one.
I would say Cartel. I would say Cartel I know Cartel is a bad boy and he's in trouble, but I think he has a lot of content and he has this sense of hype as to how to market himself. If you have read his book, how many people have read his book, The Voice of the Jamaican Ghetto? I think he's just brilliant. And I got into a lot of trouble for inviting him to the University of the West Indies to speak. But the reason I invited him was because I was teaching a course called Reggae Poetry, where we study dancehall and reggae lyrics as poetry. And the students in the class, I've been teaching the course for 10 years. And every year they complain, Miss, why isn't Cartel on the course? His lyrics are good and so. And I finally started to listen and I realized that they were good and I invited him to speak. And when you hear him talk in his book about the meaning of his lyrics, you realize that there is a lot of thought that goes into the composition of his lyrics. So somebody like Usain Bolt says his best DJ is Cartel, and there's a reason. But in addition to having the content now, Cartel knows how to do all kind of things to get attention. So I'm not saying that he's necessarily the most positive role model in the world, but I think he's a good example of content and hype. Also Sasco.
Yeah, no. Here's why I slightly disagree.
Yeah, man, it's all right.
Because, I think to whom much is given, much is expected. And I think Cartel had or has, too much talent to resort to the theatrics and the tactics. And I think it has set an example for others to follow that hasn't served the industry well, in my view. That being said, more power to him for using whatever avenues at his disposal. But I think some of the time you need to leave the man them who need a jump.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Those kind of avenues. So if I'm to answer the original question, and once again, my definition of hype also has to do with coverage. I think Chronix gets a lot of coverage since his debut, and I think I would go for that because it is not self-generated hype. It is coverage based on his music and his output. So
But
I would go for that.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I'm not sure that I would equate hype with coverage, because I think coverage is a more neutral term. It suggests the media recognizing that there is a product here, an artist here that you must follow, and so you cover the artist.
But that's why I wanted to include it in the definition
All
to
right.
start with. That hype is, you have the self-generated hype, and then you have coverage hype, which you have one footballer might be not as talented as the next man, but every time he walk out his house, there's this big coverage, and that's hype too.
All
He's
right.
not doing anything more than leaving his house, but
Okay.
he gets coverage for it.
All
Same
right.
thing for.
I guess you're making a very good point that instead of seeing hype as entirely negative, the way it is framed in the topic, because content versus hype implies that hype is something negative, right? So that maybe we need to say that there's positive hype and negative hype.
I was trying to
Good.
establish that in the definition of hype and broaden it to
Yeah.
include coverage to some extent.
That's positive, yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Sasco, do you remember when you got your first hype and how you felt about it at the time?
So my hype was sort of incremental, It started off from, you know, immediate family setting. I was like 4.5 and, you know, DJing for my, you know, my immediate family, my brother and my sisters and stuff. And, you know, like then moving outside of that to, you know, a community base, like, yo, you know, people stealing me out the yard and I go DJ down the road, and, you know, it kind of mushroom from that to primary school and high school. But professionally, I wrote a song that was performed by Spragga Benz on the Street Sweeper Rhythm, and, you know, that started a hype, like, yo, you have this youth. I was like 15 at the time, 14 and a half maybe. And so that started a hype of, yo, this youth, there's a little youth and, you know, whatever. And then I had this song performed at, I was still in high school, 15 and a half, a song named How Forget It. Well, money there, you just have to know how forget it. Get a son now, some may make a vow forget it. But assassin know that never stoop low forget it. I go and do some dub and stage show forget it. Bunty killer say, hey yo, yellow forget it. Then me hear baby shama say, whoa, whoa, forget it. Being a man, I say zaga zaga zo forget it. Now, it was, you know, it started a hype, so to speak. Yeah. And so it started now a little industry hype here, you know, a couple sound man know my name now and some producers, and more importantly to me, a lot of my heroes at the time, you know, started to hear the song and recognize it. So I remember one time, Bunty Killer heard somebody call my name and say, "Wall up, youth! You sing the song for Blue Youth." The tune was say, "Oh, for make it, I gonna make it." You know, so you know, so it wasn't a commercial hype, but it still was hype nonetheless. That opened doors for me to now go into studios without having to wait outside all day, that kind of thing. And then, you know, the first radio hype came from a song named "To Make Money," you know, that's the plan. So, you know, that started a wider coverage, and then a more, let's call it a international hype came from the Diwali rhythm, We Are the Roughest. And so you know, mine was incremental, and it allowed me to adjust to it too, you know, as opposed to an overnight thing where you kind of just get caught out in the deep.
I love that concept of incremental hype. It's brilliant, because what it suggests to me is that it becomes a kind of process by which you more and more get legitimacy.
Yes.
It's not just a you know, a one shot kind of thing. You have been building up, and you keep on generating this attention that makes you recognized as a substantial artist. Yeah, man, I like incremental hype.
Incremental hype. Here's the incremental hype. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sasco, I remember the tune Girls Gone Wild, and I remember seeing the video, and I thought, oh, it's not really Sasco that, or not really a Sassem, because the Sasco wasn't there then, right? So how did that feel, the hype from that? And I know kind of you were not really pressured to go a certain path, but you know, you could have chosen to be like a DJ with girl tunes, but then you kind of chose another path.
Well, going with the incremental hype, I think I was going through incremental growth. You know, I started my career at 16 and a half, 17. And of course, my values and ideas at the time would have been that of a, you know, teenager. And, you know, as I grew, you know, I started to, you know, grow in terms of what I wanted to contribute to my music. You know, one of the things that has remained constant throughout I would say my life, because my earliest memories include it, is the sincere love I have for this art form. It's, you know, it has been the most constant thing in my life, because it's always been there. So at any time, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to contribute best to my art form, and that is in alignment with, you know, what my values are at the time, or what my ideas are, or what my capacity is at the time, you know. So, you know, during Girls Gone Wild time, yeah, I was a young teen, and Girls Gone Wild. Yeah.
And how difficult is it in general in this fast-moving business to stay true to yourself?
I had a conversation with myself before embarking on this journey. Like I said, I was still in high school. My mother wasn't too keen on me starting to go to studio, you know, without, you know, finishing my studies, and, you know, it had to be a decision I had to make in terms of, you know, trying to balance both. And I had a conversation with myself, because this path is not a linear one, certainly not in dancehall, where, you know, you do this and then you do that and then that's going to happen. It's kind of like, you know, it's like just a shot at the stars kind of thing. And, you know, I know a lot of people from my community, them a DJ from The Devil Was a Boy, and it's still not working out and they're still, you know, going at it. And so, you know, I said to myself, well, first thing first, I'm not going to do this indefinitely and not make any progress. I have to recognize a point where I'm going to, you know, call it a day sort of thing. And along with that, if you know, I said to myself, if it's going to work out, then there are certain things that I must hold true to myself. And that is to always look in the mirror and recognize myself. And that's physically and mentally, you know. I wasn't going to lose who I am or was at the time, you know, for the industry, because, come on, the stories are endless. So, you know, I try to always, you know, be mindful of who I am and what my values are, and, you know, and what is important to me, and stay true to that. And of course, it helps to have people around you who will, you know, help steer you on course.
And also with, of course, formerly it was Assassin, and then it was Agent Sasco, and then both...
Still Assassin.
Still Assassin, a.k.a.
Thank you.
Agent Sasco. But, you know, yes, probably
you
one of the longest names.
Ways, you know. You can't have it both ways.
I sure can. You have Coke and you have Diet Coke. Why not? Yeah, I mean, for example, like I was trying to go for the hard and fast. I'm now Agent Sasco, but what I find is, you know, there's history in that name, and a lot of people hold on to it, and I can't rob them of that, you know. So like you have people who tell me straight up, "Man, I call you Sasco because I love Assassin. I'm a DJ, so I'm gonna tell them for you know what I mean?" Yeah, and then I come to find like the hip hop community, I think, you know, for some reason they tend to like that name or gravitate towards that. You know, I'm not gonna fight them on it. So, and it's cool with me either way. Like, it's a lyrical assassin anyway.
Why did you choose the name Assassin?
Because it was pre-9/11 and the world wasn't as sensitive. We really was lyrical assassin, and Bounty Killer is one of my DJs, and, you know, so I was like, yo, lyrical assassin, that wicked. And I got the name in high school, doing, you know, clashing and whatever, lunchtime and after school. So it was like I said, it was a pre-9/11 world where a name like Assassin could fly without ruffling too many feathers, in my view.
Yeah, you see, the reason I know is that I think a lot of people take dancehall lyrics literally. And one of the arguments that I've made consistently is that the dancehall DJs use language metaphorically. Why they are the only poets who can't use metaphor? Other people use metaphor and it's okay. So I think we tend to be too literal-minded with dancehall. And I think, yes, we can say you're an assassin because you murder lyrics, you murder the opposition, and it doesn't have anything to do with literal death.
No, but come on, like Sound Clash thing, anybody listening to Sound Clash would have, like, feel like, yo, they need to call the FBI and I mean, like, it's just murder, and kill up sound man, no, and chop off him head, and, but, you know, it's all fun.
Yes.
And Carolyn, you said before that hype can have something positive, which
well, it's really Assassin who said it, you know. This is incremental.
Don't run from it, Doc. Don't run from it, Doc.
This is incremental insight.
Don't run from it.
No, man, you make a good point.
Yeah,
I'm just riding on you now. Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, I think it can create a certain energy and excitement among the audience, which also can have like a cathartic moment or cathartic effects, you know. And yeah, maybe we can talk also about the positive side, because like I said before, it's not at all about bashing dancehall. It's just like looking at it and see what we maybe can overcome in order to get it further again, to get more attention to the music.
Yeah. Yeah, you want me to?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when we talk about women in dancehall dressing up and people like to say the women are victims of the male gaze, and, people looking at you and it's something negative to be under that kind of scrutiny. And it was my friend Lantonette Steins, artistic director for Cadco Dance Company, who made the point to me. Lantonette said that, Carolyn, women in the dance hall dress up to be seen. And if nobody don't see you, you have not succeeded. If the video light is not, the camera is not turned on you, that means you're not saying anything. So in a way, that that wanting to be seen, which is where I started, is part of that hype, the positivity, I think, in the hype.
Yeah, and I remember when I saw Lady Saw for the first time on stage, it's still quite a long time ago, so I still had to figure out what it's all about with the slackness. But I was so surprised the first rows were only women. Yes. I said, wow. So.
I'm glad you raised that point, because a lot of women identified with Lady Saw. They may not be as outrageous as she is, but it's like they take vicarious pleasure in what she's doing. And I think a lot of us are now distressed that she has abandoned her Lady Saw persona and has found the Lord. Because that's the end of an era. But before you know it, Lady Saw will be whining in heaven, you see? So it's going to change up the whole discourse. But it is true, that women will look at her in open mouth adoration, because you say, you wish you could do that, and she knows this. And one of the interesting things, she did a lovely interview a few years ago where she said, when little girls come to her and say, I want to be like you, she said, try to do something else. I don't know that you can manage this the way I'm doing it. Go to school and, and learn. Don't try to be like Lady Saw. There are other ways of being. So she herself knows that is a problematic way to be, and that some of what she's doing as hype make work for her, but not necessarily for young girls who can't manage all of the complexities of hype.
Well, for me, I think we can. I think if we create some examples of where they both work together, then we can see that it's just another variable in the whole mix. So like if you look at sports, the Olympics are on now. You have Usain Bolt, he gets all the hype. Mm-hmm. He gets a lot of coverage, but he has been delivering, and so that works. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. But if you have a sprinter now who, camera follow you every day, and you're all over Twitter and you're all over this and Instagram and everything, and you can't win a race, then what's the point? So it's I think we can broaden the discussion, or to adjust the topic to say content with hype, mm-hmm. Not without. Yeah.
I guess, hype is part of dancehall, period. You can't really take the hype out of dancehall.
But no, and it's fun.
Right, something would still be left, certainly, but...
Look at like a brethren like Tanto Blacks, who, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Tanto don't have content, but what drew my attention to Tanto Blacks was the hype, like, there's the dressing and, the vibe and the whole thing, and, you start to watch it, and then you start to say, but wait, all right, him have some, like, it's fun, him have something one nice, rich, real rich.
I think when hype can get kind of dangerous for the artist himself is when he starts to believe the hype that he himself or his management create.
Oh, my brethren, thank you for saying that. No, one of the most important things that I learned was from my first manager, Donovan Germain, said to me, never you believe your own PR. And I was maybe 16 at the time. I never understood it properly, but I think I get what he's saying now. In other words, you can sell a hype, like, yo, me are the wickedest thing, me are the biggest thing ever born, no DJ, no bad, like, but at the end of the day, you must not believe that. That's what you're selling, but don't buy it yourself. I think it gets to a dangerous point where when you start to believe your own PR,
unless
it's
true,
a nightmare.
though. Unless it's true. Suppose you are the baddest DJ.
No, but you see, but at the same time, I also believe if you have true respect for the craft, there must be a certain level of humility that won't allow you to even. No, but still, we still have to say it, because you can't be talking sports again. Like, Never, no, we're not going to go there. So anyway, back to the, it's like, yeah, I think you have to really, I try put the music first, I believe. If you put the music first, then I think you will naturally fall in line in terms of love the music and do the things that you figure will help to move the music forward as a collective and not, you know, a self thing. To raise another point with how hype can be negative is in our industry, especially, I realize that there's this one man around the place mentality, like, yo, who run the place or who take the show, you know, and immediately what it does, it eliminates everybody else and it turns this thing into a crab in the bucket vibe where in order to be the man running the place now, everybody must try and get that man out rather than it being a situation where you have 10 people at the top. Like, why not? Hip-hop is not run like that. You have Drake and you have Kanye and you have Jay-Z and you have, you know, so many people in a top strata enjoying great success, and it's not this, you know, which man I run the place or, yo, who, you know what I mean? We get caught up in that too much, I believe.
Yeah,
it's a good point to say you are not at the Grammys in person, but you are there through your work.
Oh,
the bad man.
Thank you. Yeah,
yes.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, content, you know. Yeah, but yeah, I think we need to broaden, you know, just how we look at the industry and, you know, how we deal with hype and content and try to, what I call it now, apportion the hype a little better too.
And could I just ask about that collaboration? You know, it's important. Sometimes the DJs like to say they don't want to collaborate with the hip hop and stuff, but you know, is that a good question to ask?
Of course. Oh, yes. So the Black of the Berry, Kendrick Lamar's Grammy-winning To Pimp a Butterfly record. You know, like I said earlier, I try to find ways of, you know, I can represent the music and contribute to the, you know, to the growth and advancement of the music, and certainly mixing genres and fusing with other artists with, you know, certainly different audience and fan base, you know, is a good thing. And it was a really good opportunity to be able to, you know, get on a project like To Pimp a Butterfly. And it happened innocently enough. The producer reached out to a friend of mine, Cardinal Official, saying, yo, I have this record doing for Kendrick, you know, I want a Jamaican vibe on it, you know, who you think? So him say like, yo, Assassin, you can, you know, he was just on the Kanye record, and I think, you know, him could have done something with it, send it, and let's see. So they sent it, and I listened to it, I did the chorus, and they loved it, so, you know, good vibes.
Just to add to what you said earlier about this one man dominating the music, to me, dancehall, actually, not only to me, dancehall has always been a juggling music where you play like 4, 5, 6 artists on one rhythm.
Thank you.
So they're all supposed to be on the same level in a way.
Yeah. So once again, all right. So let's look at the one man phenomenon and how it kind of has eroded a very important part of the business. As I said, we're juggling rhythms. I remember back in high school, you used to have Dave Kelly dominating the place with his releases. And what I have to applaud Dave Kelly for was to put jugglings together with, you know, artists at different echelons on the scale, and they had great success on the rhythm. So you have like Chico starting the juggling, and then you have a Mr. Easy and a Wayne Wonder, and then you know you have Sprague and Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, them anchor in the juggling with some giant tune. But you know, Chico and Mr. Easy could have eat them food and all a vibe because there was that
incremental juggling.
Thank you. Yeah, and there was, you know, the hype was spread out for the rhythm. The rhythm get hype, the producer get hype. All the radio man who play it get hype, because you used to have man now a fight for be the first one to play it, and you know that's when the hype become functional. I remember going to parties and you're not leaving until that rhythm play because there was a great hype around the rhythm and the producer and the artist and everything. So the hype become a very functional thing. But then now when you start to think about your one man on the rhythm, 5, 6, 7, 8, them 9 man, the family must suffer now, and we're going to only play this one man song, and it become a dysfunctional thing, and then we wonder, oh, the show's not doing so well anymore, and why the music not selling? Apportion the hype.
Yeah, before we open it up to the public, I of course would like to talk with Sasco about his new album series of Reggaetivity, which is awesome work, and I can recommend it to really everybody. But maybe you tell us little bit about why you choose going into the reggae vibe on this vibe more, and maybe introduce the whole project a bit.
Because I think reggae is just so hype. It's just. I've always wanted to do more reggae for quite a while, especially since I did that Something Got to Give song. I did that at 23, and that's 10 years ago now. So it's been something that I've wanted to do, and I've been doing reggae releases. It's just that I've never had a project to represent that. And I'm finding more now that, reggae is feeling like more how I'm choosing to.
You're getting old.
Yeah, that too, But it has become the form of expression that I'm exploring and most excited about right now. I think it also has to do with the fact that I've been DJing since I was 4, and I think it's just a natural time to now grow into something else and take on that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say, how did you approach it then? Was it, how did you face up to the challenge?
Well, so the first thing I did was to hide behind the title, which is the theory of reggaetivity, which means it's a theory, and therefore I can do whatever I want with it, and it's fine. It's just a theory anyway. It's not reggae facts. You know what I mean? So that's how I approached it, with just a love for the music and trying to observe what I believe are the key characteristics of reggae music, from sound, rhythm-wise, to content, to mood, to the process itself, like having musicians come on the session and hang out in the studio and chat and laugh and run some joke and then make some music. So that was the approach, and then I think the most important thing was I disconnected myself from any outcome. I didn't care about if anybody would care about it. I didn't care about if it would sell, or just do it to do it, and yeah.
So was the album maybe also a reaction to the hype of the dancehall?
Well, so here's what's interesting, right? So during my Girls Gone Wild years, and being with a record label, and having that sort of new hype that you get when you're just on the scene and the girls think you're cute and everything there. I had 2 releases out in those times, and it has been like light years in terms of the hype and the coverage of this release. I think it's a lesson to me, and maybe a lesson, and it has been a lesson to others. Like, you have so many young artists coming up to me now and reaching out by messaging, saying just thank you for demonstrating that you can use the avenue of time and working at your craft and relying on the merit of your work to get hype or recognition. So we debuted in the iTunes charts, I think 2nd in the US and a few other charts over here. We debuted number 3 on the Billboard Reggae charts. None of my previous projects, I don't even know what happened with them. Them have a sign in a dance hall or in reggae when them say you drop your album. I think those albums were dropped and they never get up. But with the theory of reggaetivity, it has been an incremental hype as well. Like, I still see people saying, getting onto it and saying, just get this album, and people, you need to listen. I think people are sincerely feeling the project, and I'm happy about it, because, like I say, I had no outcome goal per se. Was just do an album sincerely, and so far it has been very good.
Okay, I would like to open it up to the public now, and you wonderful people have the chance to ask questions to Sasco and also to Carolyn Cooper. So Don't be shy. We are among us, so.
No, the mic isn't on.
Hi. It's not a question, but I just wanted to say thank you. As a parent, thank you for having values and for being true to yourself and your education. I get sick of hearing radio programs, hearing from guys who are ringing in from lockdown and seeing their stint in jail as a badge of honor, and they're asking for this and that tune to be played. So I just wanted to say thank you for that perspective.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have some more questions from friends, please?
I don't want to put Dr. Dennis Howard on the spot, but I'm wondering if he has some insights based on what we've been talking about. Yes? Put you on the spot, man. Mic to Dr. Dennis Howard, because he know the thing.
Yeah, right. Well, my perspective in terms of, I support most of what you guys have been saying, especially what Sasco say in terms of we can't look at hype as a negative, because hype is an essential part of the music industry. There's absolutely, even when an artist in another genre say they're underground, and that is a hype in itself. So hype is an essential part of the marketing of any artist, whether the artists have sense, substance, or quality. Because you will always have artists that don't have substance, and nothing is wrong with that. Because music serves different purposes. And sometimes the frivolous music that now we hear in all the genres, including dancehall, because sometimes, again, we try to paint a negative picture of dancehall to say that it's all about hype and frivolity and foolishness and idiot lyrics. But it's all about the bass. It's an idiot lyrics. And I can name several Beyonce songs, which is idiot lyrics. You see? And so in that context, it's a big machinery with a whole heap of money that is a hype machinery. And a lot of it is not substantial. So we must establish that hype is a critical part of the industry. But where we go wrong is that, as you all said before, where we go wrong is when we allow hype to take over. And when people who, because every artist don't start at the same point, as Sasco said, it's a growth. But when people don't want to grow, but to reach the top by hype, then we have a problem in dancehall. And that is the main problem right now. So I'm going to ask Sasco a question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? Listen, certain things you can't create, certain things you can't generate, you're just born with it. Mm-hmm. How would you explain, as a person in the business, what caused some artists to have that, I don't even know what to call it. That it factor. And why do people be attracted to them in a particular way? It includes you too.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like anything else, people like different things. So you're going to find that the same artist that might have a certain quality that, you know, them get a huge fan base for. You have a lot of people who dislike them for that same quality. And you know, so it's like anything else. You have vegetarians and you have people like...
You still don't answer my question, though.
I am answering the question. I'm saying people people like different things.
Yeah.
And so you might have a quality that we find, say, yo, is that brother still, I just like him ever talk in mind. So let's take a few artists, we'll do some case studies there.
Yeah.
So Bounty Killer is one of my DJs, and I did like Bounty Killer because he seemed like like a movie character almost. Like him, the full suit of black, and him I deal with gun lyrics mostly, and Bounty Killer, and you know what I mean? So and he painted that picture, and him wear it well in dark glass, and the whole persona. It's like wrestling. Also, as a youth, we like wrestling, and you have, the Undertaker, where we wear him ear down in his face, and then you have the next man who is kind of like the good guy wrestler. So, it's a lot of that. You choose characters, and you like them for different things. Some people my sisters couldn't stand but them a being him and them DJ, and them not like nothing about Killer. Them eat him dark glass, them eat him full suit of black, them eat him everything. So, I'm being a man, girls, them sugar thing, them like that, and, all of that. So, once again, different artists have different qualities, and people like them for different things. Now, you might find like a man like, a flamboyant artist, people might like that about him, and then there are people who say him too show off. I mean, I like him. So, people like different things. What I found is that you just need to be true to yourself. People tell me all the time like so the shouldas and the shouldas that I should have do, let me tell you them, I should have bore me ears long time. Because John dog, if you bore ears right now, you go cute and the girl, I'm going to love it. So I should have bore me ears, them say I'm brown enough, so I should have tattoo up. Some should have a few tattoos by now. And boy, the mohawk could have fit, try a mohawk hairstyle, or wear more of this, or do more of that. But if it's not me, it's not me. Simple as that. Oh, and most importantly, people see me every day. And some of the time I'll feel afraid like them out to rush me now and say, like them I say, if you
ever
change, nothing will come look for you. Like them really beg and plead, say, please don't lose who you are and what you represent.
Prof Cooper,
yes,
question.
Sir.
Like just now, big up Mummy over there, so we just did the same thing. Thank you. Yeah, man, respect.
We established now from the discourse that hype is a good thing in some instances. So I'll ask you a simple question. What is the most important thing for an artist to have? The hype or the it factor?
I would say, the substance, the content, what it is that you're about. That is the most important thing. Because a hype can be manufactured, but you cannot manufacture talent.
Next thing, one of the things that I try to establish from the get-go in terms of my journey in music was what is to be my measure of success, because you can define success in many ways. Some people decide to them just want to make as much money as them can make, and that's it. Some man say them have to be this or that or whatever. So if you identify what what your goal is, then you will determine what you need. So the type of contribution that I'm trying to make to my music, it has to be substance. I'm trying to make music right now for my great-grandchildren. You know what I mean? And great-great-grandchildren, in terms of they can listen to it and say, boy, great-great-grandpa did some work. You're not going to do that with hype music, you know what I mean? Like with hype alone. You have to have substance in order to do that.
Sorry to ask so many questions.
But
listen, when you say you want a legacy and substance, are you not? I hope you're not saying that Girls Gone Wild is not substance.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. So first of all, the hype is good for business. Let's establish that. Like, with the hype comes along with you sell out a venue just because everybody hear your name calling and whatever. But here's where it comes to now, the contribution part, where you might sell the venue out and then you might turn away fans from this great music because them can't believe other man them I hear about the whole of last week and last month. Like, this is really it? Are you serious? I want my money back, that kind of thing. Where, you know, where's just a hype thing. So the type of contribution that I'm trying to make, it has to be substance-based. And, you know, I only focus on that, and then whatever comes, I take it. Here's another idea that I divorced myself from, is the idea of the hype that you should get. Or people tell me, I've been hearing this all the time, boy, you know, you don't get the ratings where you forget, or, you know, the hype where you forget, and that sort of thing. And then I recognize after a fact that there's no such thing as the hype that I'm supposed to get. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I grew up in Kintyre in a very humble situation, and I fell in love with this music. And here I am in Rototom at the Reggae University giving a talk, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
big up, big up, big up,
yeah.
big up. But can
It's
I
all
just,
good.
yeah, finish.
No, I just saying to say that, like, you know, there's sometimes entitlement that, you know, comes into play, and, you know, you put in your work, and, you know, you live with the results. That's just it.
Yeah, excellent. What I wanted to add, which is part of what Dennis asked you, but you never really answer, is that Girls Gone Wild, that is content too, you know. So that, in a sense, dancehall is about sexuality, and it is also about politics and all kind of different issues. But sometimes we tend to devalue the content that is dealing with sexuality. So don't leave that out of your legacy, because that is an important part of what you have contributed.
No, of course not. I think what I mean to say is the kind of work that I really want to focus on now. You know, like that had a significant place in my formation, and certainly I wouldn't leave any of it out. It's you know, I'm taking all of it. But you know, when I think now of like I said, the kind of work that I'm imagining that I want to do, it's more substance-based. And here's the next thing. I've always tried to maintain a certain level of substance, even in frivolous material. I always try to weave even a one line in there. Yeah, no, people, all right, so like this
what
Girls
you
Gone
call
Wild
in
song.
frivolous is substance. Sexuality is a key part of dancehall. And nobody now will tell me that is not. That is content, and that is substance.
Guess what, man? So I could define the terms. When I say frivolous material, yes, there's still substance in it. For example, in Girls Gone Wild, I have a line that goes, girl them get mad when them see the jog with the 6 mil price tag. When them see the seat with the Burberry plaid, girl start carry on like a traveling bag. People still come to me and say, Star, when me hear the lyrics, them not tell a lie. You know, you're the man, sir, that's a carry on like a traveling bag. You know, carry on like you carry on the bag, yo, sir. Like, so, yes, so it's in terms of the, what I call, you know, the part of speech, Prof, right? The, you know, the metaphors and the
punning.
Yeah, they're in there, and the, you know, the whole thing. But the whole composition, I believe, is a frivolous composition, meaning it's Girls Gone Wild and it's all fun and it's nice. As I say, the frivolous work is still, it have function, because we go on beach party, you want your Girls Gone Wild and you want to see bikinis and you want to see girls going wild. But in terms of substance, I'm talking about music that can free up a nation, them kind of music. That's different from a Girls Gone Wild. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But if you don't have the Girls Gone Wild, you know, go have no nation for free. That is a foundation.
Boy. And it's all a cycle. Yeah, man.
But I know what you said. I know what you said.
Yeah.
I just being
My
wicked.
friend in the blue dress want to ask a question, but she's shy. Yes, you. No?
No.
I'm reading wrong?
You just say enjoy it.
My spidey sense is off? All right.
Don't be shy now, you know. When you leave here, you say, boy, I didn't really have a question to ask, but I never want to ask it out loud.
And hello.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you said don't ever believe in your own PR, okay? At the beginning you said you can't believe your own public relations.
Yeah.
My question would be, how do you achieve your goals if you don't believe that you're the best? And part of selling your PR, when you say I am the best, and you have the intention of becoming the best, how do you avoid believing in that?
It's a different thing. So like, when I just started, you couldn't tell me I'm not the best DJ at 15. I was the best thing. I used to go to a lot of talent shows and whatever, and I used to try to objectively watch, and I never see nobody better than me until I say I DJ up on a stage one time and said, you are bad. But outside of that, you couldn't tell me not me are the best. But here's the difference. When I go around a penthouse in my school uniform, thinking say me are the best, I'm going to the studio and then put on a rhythm, thinking say me are the best. And when I start DJ, thinking say me are the best, and Jeremy and everybody hold them ears and run and say, Lord, him half key, man. If I thought that I was the best, like some youth do, them come out and say them and they don't know what them talk about and them a fight them. You know, them tell me I'm unfit. Every time the man them say me sound like a donkey for the rhythm car. Every time I say that, big, you know what I mean? So them say I need to go run some laps. I need to train my ears, so I start sing half keep on the rhythm. Them tell me I put too much lyric. Buju tell me one at the time, Juvenile a 4 song that. Too much lyrics in the song, man. You know, so them tell me I try say too much things. Him say, I know what I want. You're just out of school and you have a lot on your mind, but space it out. Give it years like a time for breathe. So if you think that, if you believe, I'm not even sure if I'm framing the argument right, but I hope you understand. In other words, I'm confident in my abilities, and yes, boy, I'm the best thing, and they're not bad like me, and you need that sort of confidence. But if you really believe that you are the best for true and you can't learn nothing, then you stop yourself, you know.
I think it's time to wrap it up because soon the music gonna start on the main stage. But tomorrow we're gonna take up where we leave off today. It's about dancehall again. The session starts at 5 o'clock and it's called Girl a Bubble, Female Empowerment or Objectification in Dancehall. And if you're interested, you should come maybe an hour earlier. Then we are showing the documentary Brockout, a dancehall queen documentary. It's kind of small, it's kind of hard to read. So I want to thank our panelists, Carolyn Cooper and Assassin, aka Agent Sasco. Thanks for coming, man.
Love you, man. Love you. No problem. That was very good. Excellent.
Music. Free Rototom